The evening sun touched the edges of the city park, painting the grass in warm gold. But the world felt painfully cold for Ryan Hale, the 34-year-old CEO who sat alone on a wooden bench, elbows on his knees, hands covering his tired face, trying to steady the storm inside him as people walked past him without noticing. The man whose name filled business magazines, whose success inspired thousands, yet whose heart today felt small, cracked and completely alone. Earlier that morning he had lost the last thing he had left of his mother, a simple locket she had given him before she passed, and losing it brought back years of buried grief he never had time to face. The pressure from the board meeting had crushed him, and for the first time in his adult life, Ryan felt powerless, empty, and strangely invisible despite the polished suit and reputation he carried like armor every day. But as he sat there struggling to hold himself together, a tiny pair of shoes stopped right in front of him, and a soft voice, innocent yet full of surprising courage, broke through the silence. "Don't cry, mister. You can borrow my mom," said a little boy of maybe 6, with round cheeks, bright hopeful eyes, and hands stained lightly with chalk from playing on the pavement. Ryan lifted his head, confused and speechless, staring at the boy who looked at him with pure sincerity, the kind of sincerity adults forget how to give. And before Ryan could form a response, the boy gently placed a hand on his sleeve and said, "My mom says nobody should be alone when they're sad. She always lets me borrow her hugs when I cry. You can borrow one too." The innocence struck him so deeply he felt tears burn his eyes again, but softer this time, not from pain but from the strange warmth that poured in from this small stranger's kindness. And before Ryan could say anything, a woman came jogging toward them, breathless but smiling, the boy's mother, her eyes soft but cautious, asking, "Leo, sweetheart, is everything okay?" And the boy answered proudly, "Mom, this mister is sad. I said he can borrow you." She blinked, surprised, then looked at Ryan with gentle understanding rather than judgment, and sat beside him without hesitation, saying in a calm and caring voice, "I don't know what you're going through, but you don't have to sit in it alone." And those words, how simple, ordinary, motherly, cut straight through all the walls Ryan had spent years building. He found himself telling her pieces of the hard day he had, not the CEO version with power and confidence, but the human version, raw and real, and she listened, fully present, without rushing, without interrupting. And with each passing minute, Ryan felt something he hadn't felt in years, the comforting weight of being understood. And just when he thought he had finally regained control of himself, little Leo climbed onto the bench, scooted closer, and leaned against his arm in a clumsy, childlike attempt to comfort him, whispering, "It's okay, mister. Bad days don't stay forever." And Ryan, who had closed his heart for so long, felt something inside him loosen, a knot of years beginning to unravel. And for the first time in a very long time, he allowed himself to breathe, really breathe, as he realized that sometimes the strongest hearts are healed by the smallest hands. The next morning, after a night of restless thoughts and unexpected warmth, Ryan found himself standing outside the small neighborhood cafe where Leo and his mother had said they usually stopped before school. And although he tried to tell himself he was only there to return the kindness they had shown him, deep inside he knew he was searching for something he had been missing for far too long, a feeling of belonging, of softness, of human connection without judgment. So when he heard the loud little voice shout, "Mr. CEO," and saw Leo running toward him with a backpack bouncing on his shoulders, Ryan's heart lifted in a way he did not expect. Behind the boy came his mother, Maya, holding 2 cups of coffee and wearing the same gentle smile that had calmed his storm the night before. And as he greeted them awkwardly, unsure what to do with his hands or his emotions, Maya simply tilted her head, studying him with warm eyes, saying, "You look better today. I'm glad," which made Ryan feel strangely proud, like a child who had done something right. And he replied softly, "It's because of you both. I didn't realize how badly. I needed someone to just care for a moment." And Maya nodded with a knowing expression, as if she understood the weight of quiet battles people carried. They sat together at a small outdoor table, and Leo happily told story after story about school, about how he wanted to be a superhero when he grew up, about how he loved helping people even if he wasn't big enough yet. And Ryan listened with genuine interest, surprised at how refreshing it felt to hear simple, honest words instead of the cold business language he usually drowned in. But in the middle of Leo's excited rambling, Maya leaned closer to Ryan and asked softly, "Are you ready to talk more about what you're carrying?" And for a moment he froze, wanting to hide again behind the mask he had worn his whole adult life. Yet something about her calm presence and Leo's cheerful humming gave him courage. So he told her about the locket he lost, about how it was the last memory of the mother who raised him alone, about how he had buried all his emotions beneath work, success, and responsibilities until everything finally cracked. Maya listened, not with pity but with understanding, and she reached across the table, gently placing her hand near his in quiet support, saying, "Grief doesn't go away just because we ignore it. Sometimes it grows heavier." And those words felt like truth he had been avoiding for years. As they talked, Leo climbed into Ryan's lap without asking, resting his head on Ryan's chest and saying, "It's okay to miss people. My dad went to heaven, too." And the innocence of that confession struck Ryan so deeply he had to swallow hard to keep his voice from breaking. And he wrapped a careful arm around the boy, feeling a sense of comfort he hadn't felt in decades. After a while, Maya checked the time and stood up, ready to take Leo to school. And as they prepared to leave, Leo squeezed Ryan's hand and whispered, "Can we see you again? You still look like you need my mom," making Ryan laugh for the first time in days, a real laugh that surprised even him. And he promised he would visit them again soon. When they walked away, Ryan watched them with a strange ache in his chest. Not sadness, but a longing for the kind of life he had spent years too busy to imagine. A life filled with warmth, connection, and simple moments that meant more than all the luxury his success could buy. And as he stood there in the quiet morning air, he realized something powerful. Maybe healing didn't come from being strong all the time. Maybe it came from allowing himself to be human.